Ever wondered how certain people throughout history managed to influence millions, control nations, and shape the world? What if I told you that their techniques, some brilliant, some downright sinister, are still being used today, maybe even on you? Welcome to Mastering Mind Control, where we dive deep into the art and science of manipulation to help you recognize it, understand it, and protect yourself from it. Throughout history, some individuals have wielded unimaginable influence, using manipulation as their most powerful tool. Today, we're diving into the fascinating yet chilling world of history's most famous manipulators. From political leaders to cult figures, their tactics shaped societies, altered destinies, and left lasting impacts on the world. By the end of this video, you'll not only learn how they operated, but also how their tactics are still influencing the world around us. Introduction to manipulation. Manipulation is the act of influencing someone to do something, usually in a way that favors the manipulator over the one being manipulated. Though some manipulations are harmless or even positive, such as persuading a friend to eat healthy, others can be dangerous and exploitative. This video is about the darker side, psychological manipulation, where people exploit emotions, vulnerabilities, and even entire societies to achieve their goals. Why does this matter? Because manipulation shapes history. Leaders, advertisers, influencers, they've all used these tactics to bend the will of others. By understanding manipulation, you not only gain insight into history, but also learn how to guard your mind against it today. Overview of dark psychology. Dark psychology is the area of study how human thoughts, emotions, or behaviors can be influenced or manipulated for selfish, deceptive, or malevolent purposes. It's definitely not a realm to be exploited, hence it should be studied as a means through which we'd find patterns and identify where we're wrong. Throughout history, dark psychology has been a tool for power. Let's look into the lives and strategies of 5 individuals who shaped history through manipulation. Case Study 1. Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte, a name that had become associated with ambition and power, emerged from an anonymous Corsican history to become the Emperor of France. His rise occurred during a period of political disarray following the French Revolution, which was rife with chaos and gross public discontent. This proved the turning point. Tactics used: propaganda and image control. Napoleon was a master at shaping public perception. He employed propaganda to craft an image of himself as a hero of the people. His portraits depicted him as larger than life, a strategic move to project strength and invincibility. Even his failures, like the disastrous Russian campaign, were spun to downplay losses and focus on his resilience. He controlled the press, and newspapers would glorify his achievements. He commissioned statues and paintings that portrayed him as a leader destined for greatness. This constant reinforcement of his image made people believe in his supremacy, even when reality suggested otherwise. The emotional intelligence of Napoleon was another factor in his success. He knew how to inspire loyalty and devotion in his troops. His soldiers followed him not only because of their duty, but also because he made them feel appreciated. Small gestures, like sharing meals or addressing soldiers by name, created a bond that made them willing to fight for him, no matter the odds. Napoleon's manipulation tactics left a lasting impact on France and Europe. He redefined leadership, blending charisma with calculated control of public opinion. His Napoleonic Code modernized legal systems across Europe, but his relentless pursuit of power also brought devastation and war. His legacy serves as a reminder of how manipulation can shape entire nations, for better or worse. Case Study 2. Adolf Hitler. Rise to power. Understanding charisma and manipulation. The most infamous manipulation case in history was that of Adolf Hitler in the 1930s, as he exploited the economic desperation and political instability following World War I in Germany and presented himself as the only savior. He appealed to the masses by speaking in the tongues of fire and promising things exaggeratedly. Methods: fear, rhetoric, and mass mobilization. No one could surpass Hitler in manipulation of fear. He portrayed Jews, communists, and others as enemies. His rhetoric, with dramatic pauses and passionate delivery, made the words unforgettable. He repeated lies so often that people came to accept them as true, a tactic called the Big Lie. Mass rallies, Nazi symbols, and propaganda with coordinated orchestration further drove his movement. The show of unity and strength in events like the Nuremberg rallies made the audience feel that they were part of something larger, which guaranteed them loyalty to him. Hitler's strategies were strongly based on the psychological weaknesses he played off of. The power of repetition, fear, and belonging were something he was well aware of. He maintained his membership through isolating dissenting voices and rewarding loyalty. His ascension shows how charisma with an edge of fear can be devastating. Case Study 3. Edward Bernays, father of public relations, his legacy on manipulation. Edward Bernays, the father of public relations, changed our thinking about influence. A nephew of Sigmund Freud, he used psychology to know how people are influenced. His work bridged marketing and manipulation in significant ways. Key strategies, shaping public opinion. Through media, Bernays brought tactics like the third-party technique, whereby an authoritative figure or institution promotes a product or idea, making it more credible. For example, he made cigarettes popular with women by branding them as torches of freedom, thereby associating smoking with women's freedom. He also created situations that would get media attention, such as the green ball for introducing a new color in fashion. In doing so, Bernays showed the potential of how influential strategic messaging can be. Today, Bernays' tactics are the basis of modern marketing, from political campaigns to product launches. His methods shape the public perception. His legacy reminds us to question motives behind what we see in media. Case Study 4. Joseph Goebbels' role as Nazi propagandist. Techniques of persuasion. Joseph Goebbels was the chief propagandist of Hitler, an expert at writing persuasive narratives. He employed propaganda to demonize enemies, elevate the Nazi regime, and suppress opposition, utilizing media in narrative control. Joseph Goebbels controlled every kind of media within Nazi Germany: newspapers, radio, films, and posters. He ensured that only those messages aligned with the Nazi ideology were passed to the public. For example, the film Triumph of the Will extolled Hitler and the Nazi Party as unbeatable. Psychological strategies: fear, guilt, and loyalty. Goebbels played on fear by dramatizing the external threats against Germany, instilling a feeling of urgency and dependence on Nazi leadership. He further used guilt by making Germans feel that loyalty to the party was their moral responsibility. These tactics silenced opposition and unified the population under Nazi control. Goebbels' propaganda system proved catastrophically effective. His ability to drown the internal opposition allowed it to commit all its atrocities without much hindrance. His tactics remind the present generation how media could be misused to handle the mob minds of the entire society. Case Study 5. Cult leaders, e.g. Jim Jones. Cult leaders like Jim Jones of the People's Temple used manipulation to gain absolute control over their followers. They created environments where dissent was impossible and blind obedience was the norm. Manipulative techniques used by cult leaders. Jones isolated his followers from society, making them dependent on him for information and support. He appealed to emotion, telling them that he was their savior figure. Threats of punishment from God kept people in line. Psychological profiles acquiring weaknesses. Cult figures target those who are lonely, searching for someone or something to give their life meaning. They love bomb those who just joined, pouring affection upon the new member to build trust, then increase control by degrees. The manipulation of cult leaders has led to tragic events like the Jonestown Massacre, where over 900 people died. Their actions highlight the destructive potential of unchecked psychological manipulation. Dark psychology in modern context, how historical tactics influence contemporary manipulation. Current and historical manipulators use similar techniques. Politicians, advertisers, and influencers fearmonger, repeat phrases, and evoke emotions to gain support for particular opinions. Manipulation is a more effective use of social media because it reaches people quicker and they become saturated faster. Algorithms of social media highlight sensationalism content and thereby the ability of manipulative narratives to prosper. To protect against manipulation, keep a critical ear to the information you consume. Fact-check sources, question motives, and recognize emotional triggers. Awareness is your best defense. Conclusion: the stories of Napoleon, Hitler, Bernays, Goebbels, and cult leaders teach us one important lesson. Manipulation, when unchecked, can change the course of history. Knowing their tactics can help us protect ourselves from the modern-day manipulation that may come our way.